This is a recording for a final evaluation video where I will be talking over a pre-created video. So I will start with so at the beginning of the video you see me create a tape recorder, and this is the first model I made, and the second image you see is a blue UV of it as in gray, and the final thing you see is it being completely modeled. Next, we move on to a little candle cage. This is what the model looked like. This was part of one of the engravings on top of the model. And then we move on to a ZBrush thing. The ZBrush model kind of increased the poly count. And this is what it looks like finally when it's done. It has a lot of vertexes. This is for the elephant, for the statue. So this is the UV Photoshop. And then the UV for like a far away zoom. And then we go into close-up zoom, which is the actual like model, and everything else is the insides. This is for the eyes of the for the model, since this is an elephant cartoon, and this is the final model, which is not the best one. Next, we move on to a UV of a house lamp, and then we go over to what it finally looks like, which is okay. The model itself looks fine. Then we have a time lapse of me creating a house plant. This is the only one that has me actually recording making it, since I was able to do this in one go and it didn't take forever to make or do. So yeah, this is the only thing that's currently have a time lapse. And as you can see, I've very quickly understood how to like make it and model it. And then you move on to the final version, which is to give the whole plastic look, as the real house plant is actually just a fake little plant that exists in the house that's just there. Overall, this is actually pretty fine, although I might have gone overboard with the vertexes. That would not be surprised if I did. Next, moving on to a man-made outside plant. This is what it looks like painted, and then we move on to the UV of it, and then the final version of the UV with all the logos that were on the man-made house plant, and then what it looks like when it's imported into the model, and then I put in the brush in the actual foliage into it. Then move on to the pencil UV. It's a very small UV, very tiny. I had to get a zoom in on that because how small it was. And then the final version, which is still very off because how tiny it was. Next, we went to a picture frame, and I had to learn to use lace knots, and then UV of the actual card that came with the picture frame. Then you get multiple angles of the picture frame when it's done, and then one clean angle of it on a forward angle where the actual photo is based on. Then we went to Rubik's Cube, which was very simple to make, and I have multiple angles of it. And a final one was just a one single angle. Finally, we move on to a street lamp with multiple angles being completed, and then added the foliage of the little plant, and then finally the finished model with the plant and everything else with it. I probably will be adding photos to more exemplify the fact that how absurdly weird angles were. But overall, everything in the actual production of making all these was very straightforward. It's just like some of the angles when I went out to take them were very odd, and I'm mostly surprised I was able to model them even semi look normal. Some of them were going to be bad, like the elephant, but the others, like the street lamp, surprisingly went out well. So yes, overall that's how the production of the whole thing went.